This is not what you think is going to be. This place needs an infinity pool and I'm going to design one. Let's dive deep. Without a doubt, one of the most complex jobs in virtually designing locations like this one is the terrain. There are no guiding lines nor indications where it is. In my case, I consider myself lucky as there is existing pavement which I will use to construct my vanishing lines. Even with the help of the pavement blocks, it took 15 minutes to achieve the results I want to see in there. Prior to the design, I made a small sketch and selected two reference images of where and what the pool should look like. The yellow arrow is my camera and the blue outline is the pool's location. Once my vanishing lines were ready, I started with modeling the terrain from a single plane. Simple extrude operations with some cleaning. Once this was out of the way, I created my beloved sphere and started checking the lighting. Meanwhile, I decided to find some pool models from 3D Sky and use it for my scene, since it's a quicker way to readapt the model and use it in the scene instead of building entirely a new one from scratch. Symmetry modifier was my best friend at the time and helped a lot in shaping the shape of this pool, including all of the rest of the tiles and the water and absolutely everything. And to fit and achieve the so-called romantic atmosphere with the image, my pool needed some lighting, so I added a few rectangular lights below the water level. Then I checked how my pool looked like and it was a decent result. My next move was to extend the ground plane as I was preparing to build a hot tub next to the pool right there. I looked at the different references and finally I decided to position the tub over the pool at the edge of the garden, without blocking my composition. Once I was ready with the terrain, I separated the pavement as object, as I had plans for it later. I started with new material and found a soil map which was applied to the large part of the terrain object. A quadrify mesh and some noise, and then I added gravel with forest pack, and I ended up testing everything with a sphere to see how lighting, materials and everything reacts to my current composition. My next move was to model the top, starting with cylinder, inset, extrude, weld, bridge were used to make the hole and some border tiles. After I applied a beautiful stucco map to everything, I had to build for a third time additional terrain to support the steps of the hot tub, since they were visible and very prominent and also part of my composition. Making the actual steps is not hard. I selected polygons where I want to have the steps, extruded those and then detached them. Copied once above the first instance and extruded the bottom twice the length of the first one. Then I found a model of a fire pit with applied textures on the 3D warehouse, as I had plans to use some of the walls. Always when I can, I make sure to reuse the materials and models I have or I can find, since it's a time saver. A quick tip here: 99% of all SketchUp models need additional texturing, especially after modification, and in this case, as I extended the wall here, the texture coordinates broke and I had to restore them in addition to the extensive welding of vertices. After every major addition to my scene, I render a small thumbnail to see where I'm going with it. Immediately after that, I made some decorative stones to divide my gravel from the existing pavement, as this was going to help me to achieve better realism. The model needed some details and I divided this model into sections with different sizes and used the script called polydamage. You will find the link in the comments. I transferred back the newly created decorative stones into the scene. My advice on using such scripts is always to work with them in a separate file, only with your object of interest. This will prevent any troubles and broken scenes in case of a crash or bugs. I felt that my model of the pool needed some nice outline, so I detached the spline and made it a lamp with the Corona light material. And a quick tip here: when you use your Corona light material, make sure to know what you're doing with it. In most cases, I turn off the emit light option since I don't want my model to cast light but only to glow. Using the light material with emit light on will increase your rendering time and in many cases can produce additional noise, which you have to tackle and equates to rendering time again. Then I found another model on 3D Sky of a jacuzzi with some simulated water features. Since it was a free model, I decided to use it and took only what I needed. A Of course, everything had to make sense, so I decided to position the water feature at the back of the hot tub out of the way so I can keep my composition clean. The hot tub model itself had some air bubbles simulated, but since my camera was too far, I felt that they were not that important, and I left them where they are and didn't pay much attention in the material itself. Then I decided to have a fire pit with some chairs between my chairs and other chairs, lots of chairs. So I modeled one and I reused the materials which I already had from my SketchUp model. Also found some burning logs in a fire I had from my previous projects, and voila, I compiled a fire pit. For this to work, I needed a convincing bright fire, so I added a fire texture as a self-illumination material, and on top of that, I made a sphere lamp with some orange glow to nicely lit all of the surrounding chairs. Next, I found a garden armchair from my collection with some fabric that matched the entire design style I was trying to achieve for this styling image. After a quick render thumbnail, I immediately noticed that I need to increase the number of armchairs and keep my composition in view clear. The fire pit had to go to the right part of the image along with everything else. Suddenly, I felt that I was missing something, some more realistic features which every pool with gravel would need. Stepping stones that would go all around the pool, and I made some from splines and simple rotation and vertex movement and edit and extrude and copy and paste, and then I used the script to add some details to the stones, and some texture variations did the job at the end. And oh boy, that kind of realism I was talking about. This is what I needed. When I felt this extreme exaltation, I proceeded to the final rendering, and after everything was ready and done, I imported the image in my photo editing program and made some simple color and brightness adjustments. And most of the image was done. If this is your first time around, and if you're wondering what I just did, this is called virtual staging. Go and watch this video right there, and don't forget to leave the like button because it's free, and you can, I know it.